The Dwarf's Tale. Once upon a time, there was an old woman who had a grandson named Dwarf. One day, the dwarf saw the neighbor's children going into the forest to collect firewood, and he said to his grandmother, "Grandmother, please let me go with the children." The old woman agreed, called the children, and gave each of them some buttered bread. She also told them to look after the dwarf. On the way, the dwarf sat down and said, "My grandmother asked me to go with you, so please take me with you." One by one, the children carried him on their backs and gathered firewood in his place. Then, each of them tied their bundle of wood to their backs. The dwarf said, "My grandmother asked me to go with you, so please take my firewood too." With no other choice, the children took the dwarf's firewood on their backs as well. After walking for a while, it became evening, and they lost their way. When they were leaving the forest, they saw a light coming from one direction and heard a dog barking from the other. One of the children said, "Let's go towards the light," and another said, "Let's go towards the barking dog." They couldn't decide which way to go. The dwarf spoke up, "If we go towards the barking dog, it might attack us. Let's go towards the light, maybe we can find the way." The children went towards the light and arrived at a giant's house. When the giant saw them, he was pleased and thought to himself, "This is good. Tonight I will eat them one by one." He fed them some bread and let them sleep. After a while, the giant decided to eat one of the children. To find out if they were all asleep, he asked, "Who's asleep and who's awake?" When the dwarf heard this, he quickly raised his head and said, "Everyone's asleep, but Dwarf is awake." The giant asked, "Dwarf, why aren't you sleeping?" The dwarf replied, "My grandmother used to make me porridge every night and feed me before I went to sleep." The giant got up and quickly made porridge for the dwarf, hoping it would help him sleep. After a little while, the giant asked again, "Who's asleep and who's awake?" Again, the dwarf raised his head and said, "Everyone's asleep, but Dwarf is awake." The giant asked, "Dwarf, why aren't you sleeping now?" The dwarf replied, "Every night my grandmother used to bring me tea with soup." The giant got up again, took a bowl, and went to get tea and soup. As soon as he left, the dwarf woke his friends and said, "This giant wants to eat us. Hurry, let's escape." The children quickly got up and ran across a river. Meanwhile, the giant, having filled his bowl with tea and soup, saw that it was empty. He tried to cross the river to chase the children, but he couldn't get across. Finally, he called out, "Hey, children, how did you cross the river?" The dwarf quickly answered, "Go find a millstone, put it around your neck, and throw yourself into the water, then you can cross." The giant believed the dwarf and went to find a millstone. He placed it around his neck and threw himself into the water, but he drowned.